Hello everyone, welcome to CRSR Tech Academy. Now we are going to discuss about integration runtime in Azure Data Factory. The integration runtime is the compute infrastructure used by Azure Data Factory and Azure Synapse pipelines to provide the data integration capabilities across different networks. Okay, here our aim is to load data from SQL database tables to Azure SQL data warehouse tables. Okay, here these two are different networks, right? Network environments. SQL database located in on-premises and a warehouse is located in cloud. Here, to load data from one network environment to other network environment, we need a compute infrastructure between these two network environments, and to do the data integration capabilities, to provide the data integration capabilities, this entire thing is called integration runtime in ADF. Okay, and coming to Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Factory offers three types of integration runtime, and we should choose the type that best serves our data integration capabilities. It depends upon our project only and also our network environments. The three types of integration runtime are Azure Integration Runtime, Self-Hosted Integration Runtime, and Azure SSIS Integration Runtime. Here, Azure Integration Runtime means that whatever the sources like a destination present in the cloud, like whether it is in Azure or AWS or Google, any kind of environment or resource present in the cloud is comes under Azure Integration Runtime. Coming to the self-hosted integration runtime, self-hosted integration can operate on premises, like suppose if a database, suppose in my laptop I have a database. Okay, if I wanted to load data from my on premises database to the cloud database, at that time Azure Integration Runtime won't help us, so we have to use self-hosted integration runtime for this purpose. Whenever we are dealing with the on premises databases, at the time self-hosted is the must and should integration runtime. We cannot achieve uh, data integration capabilities without self-hosted integration runtime. And coming to the Azure SSIS integration runtime, SSIS is the Microsoft product. To retain the customers, they have created the integration runtime for SSIS to load their SSIS packages from SSIS to Azure environment, Azure Data Factory environment. They need this Azure integration runtime. This is about integration runtime types in Azure Data Factory. And one important note we have to remember is data flow activities. In Azure Data Factory, we have data flow activities which are going to run on top of Apache Spark. Okay, this data flow activity is not going to support for self-hosted integration runtime. Data flow activities are going to support only in Azure Integration Runtime, not for self-hosted integration runtime. Now we will see the the creation of integration runtime in Azure Data Factory practically. And here, if you see, right, auto resolve integration runtime. This is the one whenever the Azure Data Factory got created, at that time only this Azure integration runtime is going to create. That is name called Azure Resolve Auto Resolve Integration Runtime. The type is Azure. Okay, this is the one already exists whenever we are creating the Azure Data Factory. And if you wanted to create new Azure Data Factory, new Azure Integration Runtime, at that time you have to go to Manage Hub and then Integration Runtimes. Then after click New. After clicking New, here we will get three options. One is the Azure Integration Runtime, Self-Hosted Integration Runtime, and Azure SSIS. Okay, Azure SSIS is simply lift and shift existing SSIS packages to execute in Azure. Okay, that is a different use case. We'll discuss this one later. And coming to the Azure Integration Runtime, we have to click this one. Then after continue. Okay, and here we are going to create the Azure Integration Runtime, right? Click on Azure. Okay, here we have to give the name of the integration, Azure Integration Runtime. Like I'm giving Azure IR, and this is the type of Azure already we know. And the region, here it is our wish to select the region, maybe East US, West US, or Central India, Central US. It is our wish. And if you keep auto resolve, right, it will automatically select the region. And for the auto resolve integration runtime also, the region will be auto resolve only. But now I wanted to select my region as Central US. Okay, and then virtual networks. As of now, I'm not going to use virtual network configuration and data flow runtime. I have told you, right? I mentioned already. Data flow activity is going to support only in the Azure integration runtime. So for that, and also I have mentioned that data flow is run on top of Apache Spark. So we have to give the compute infrastructure for the Spark to execute the data flow activities. For that, whatever the size we needed, compute size. Here we have the four different sizes: small, medium, large, and custom. Small, medium, large is there, and we don't want to go with this default configuration. If you want to customize ourselves, then we have to choose the custom. And here we have the compute type, core type, and time to live. Coming to the compute type, we have the two options. One is a general purpose and one was the memory optimized one. And this is the memory optimized is a little bit costly compared to the general purpose. Whenever the project requirement needs, at that time only we'll go with the memory optimized one. Yeah, generally it is good to go with the general purpose only. If we have more data and more computations needed at the time, we have to increase our driver cores. As of now, we'll go with the 4 plus 4 driver cores. Now we'll see time to live. If we set a time to live, ADF will maintain a pool of VMs, virtual machines, which can be utilized to spin off each subsequent data flow activity against that same Azure IR. This reduces the amount of time needed to start up the environment before our job is executed. Whenever we have subsequent data flow activities are executing at that time this time to live option is very good. At the time we can go with like 10, or according to our requirement we can select our time to live. If we have almost 5 to 6 data flow activity, subsequent activities are executing at a time, at that time we can go with 30 minutes or 50 minutes. And if we are increasing the time to live minutes, at the time the billing cost is going to increase. So it is important to remember that time to live is costly. Yeah, as of now I'm going with 0 minutes. Here also they have mentioned, yeah, like if we click on create, the Azure integration runtime is going to create. And this is the way how to create Azure integration runtime. And we have to remember one more thing: Azure integration runtime means here it is going to establish the integration runtime capabilities between two different cloud environments only. It cannot establish the compute infrastructure between on premises and the cloud or on premises. Okay, the source and destination should both are present in the clouds itself. Okay, yeah, this is about Azure integration runtime, and I have briefly mentioned about what is the integration runtime in Azure Data Factory. We'll see the remaining integration runtime in the later classes. Thank you so much. Have a great day.